Hello, friends. I welcome you to another podcast series. In today's episode, I would like to speak to you about self compassion. Now, this is something, if you really pay attention to, is a very neglected trait that we often indulge in. And let me share a story with you about the same in regards to me myself being a coach, how rarely I indulge in it. So, a few days ago, friends, while I was working with many of my clients, there are times where I also try to upskill my skill as a coach. And running a business also require us to get to learn a bit about the marketing stuff as well. Therefore, a coach wears different hats. So while I was just creating a marketing campaign for my business, I came across someone who I really liked, in the sense the lecture, the content, the approach. Even though it was very catchy, and I have had worked on similar lines for many months. While I listened to that lecture, that content, I was so carried away that when a sense of urgency was created, like the marketing consultant asked me that if I need to really sign up for his program, I need to sign up right away, and which also involves that I pay him upfront. So, without any proper deliberation, decision, thought process, I simply went ahead and I ended up signing up because my need for that particular goal that I was working on in a marketing campaign was very, very closely resonating with what this person had to offer. But it was only after a month and a lot of money that went by, I realized that it was nothing new. And I was, in fact, when I pulled back my books, my notes, and the work that I was doing, it was way ahead of what was offered to me. But I wouldn't blame the person. The person to be blamed is me. And then, fine, I closed the campaign, and there were few realizations that dawned upon me. But at the same time, I remain very, very frustrated, agitated, and constantly criticizing myself all through the days, almost 3 days, I should say, in a row, and thinking, how could I be not paying attention to the lot of work that I have done at hand, and just simply getting carried away with some catchy content. When then I met my coach, and while I had a session, it didn't took me very long. It was a brief period of self-criticism. But while my coach helped me understand that as humans, we all are weak, and we all tend to fall into traps. I wouldn't even say that's a trap, but I would say it's more of getting a bit carried away by something that you look forward to. And it's absolutely normal to do so. So, a session with my coach helped me realize that there were a very wrong narrative that I was constantly speaking to my own self, criticizing myself, criticizing my weaknesses, my lack of presence of mind, clarity, direction, and a lot more. But when I changed the narrative, I found a lot of sense because it was not really that bad as I was thinking it to be. And this was when, after a session with my coach, when I start to realize how self-compassion helped me reconnect back to myself, like someone as a good friend who holds space for you, and at the same time let you know that it's all okay to feel weak. It's okay to end up taking up wrong decisions or investing or maybe losing out a little money, because no one is perfect. This itself validates of our being human. And while my coach assisted me how I should change my narrative from being a self-critique to a self-compassionate friend, my coach asked me to repeat an exercise that I had already shared in this podcast, which was the letter therapy. So, as a good friend, while I wrote a letter to my own self, helping my own self understand that it was okay to go wrong, it was absolutely okay to take a wrong decision. The only key thing one needs to learn is that self compassion not only did help me change the entire narrative from being critical and negative to absolutely compassionate and a bit positive. So it immediately stopped my rumination. It stopped me from self loathing and criticizing myself. And it also stopped me from catastrophing a simple thing which was not really a blunder as such as I was making it to be. Then the letter itself gave me back my peace of mind, the calm, the peace that I was looking for, and it opened up a new window to me, wherein when I was writing that letter to me as a good friend of mine, I realized that not all was lost. There was some real good stuff also that I got through from the program, and a lot I could only make out when I became compassionate. So it opened up a new window of new insights and lessons learned and helped me make a note of it so that going forward I do not end up repeating it again. So friends, this is the power of actually being compassionate towards oneself. And you must be also wondering, this is something very, very, we all neglect it really hard. And even though we may not exercise too much of kindness and compassion towards others, the worst person at the receiving end is our own self. So next time, if you ever find yourself where you had met with a negative experience or something that you may have ended doing wrongly, sit back, pause, reflect, and think about how being compassionate can completely change the narrative that you've been telling your own self. Because what we tell ourselves has a huge impact in the way we experience results and get things done. Thank you, friends. That's all for today. I shall talk to you soon in our next episode coming shortly.